Hello, hello, hello. I'm Chelsey.
And I'm Sammy. And this is
Deepish.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
We are talking about Secret Lives today.
Oh my gosh. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 2 just came out.
And it's taking over all of our lives.
We binged it in like a day and a half.
Literally last night I was sleeping and I kept waking up and just, hallelujah. It is just in...
No, I feel like
choir in my head.
Yes, I feel like swig is literally coming out of my veins right now. I'm deep. But honestly, it was so good.
I know.
It was so good.
It's a very different kind of entertainment compared to every other show.
Mm-hmm.
You get sucked in and you want to analyze everything. All I can do is consume Secret Lives content. I want to watch all the TikToks. I want to listen to all the podcasts. I want to hear everybody's thoughts. And so that's why I'm so excited to recap it today.
I think it's another layer for us because we know some of the girls on the cast or like one person removed. There's
so many connections.
Yeah, it's very close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the culture of it all.
Yep.
We're so familiar with it. And there's something about a Utah group of girlfriends that's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And the pettiness, the throwing people under the bus, the gossip of it all is so reminiscent to your friend group.
Their girls' trips and stuff or dinners, I feel like I'm with my high school friends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not as dramatic, not as petty.
Yeah.
But like the dynamics of things
where it's
so
like
relatable.
You try to link up with one person you feel the closest with.
Mm-hmm.
It just classic. And then also just all the aerial shots. It's like, oh my gosh, that's down the street from my house. That's where I grew up. You just know every single landmark.
Yeah.
And then all of the little nuances, the drinks, the
restaurants they go to, everything. I know. And they were literally at Wilkerson Farm, which is right across the street from my house.
Oh, that's where it was. I was like, I think it's right by Sammy's house.
Yeah.
And then they were at Walker Farms for the Friendsgiving or whatever. And then, so I think that is one layer where I feel like we're very invested. But that aside, reality television wise, season 2 was top notch.
Yeah. And that's what's so fun. I was actually thinking that driving, because I drive by that Jay-Z Styles billboard every single day. And it's so funny because I'm sure these people see these landmarks of these restaurants and things. I want to go to Utah and go to Swig and go to all these places. And it's so weird because we're in it. And we look at Hollywood, like New York City and LA and all of those things that people are so used to, and we glamorize them, and then we go and we're like, oh, this is it.
I think that it's becoming very iconic, these places and the drinks and all the things.
If I wasn't from here, I feel like I would be like, let's do a girls trip and go to Utah. It looks so pretty. We could do hikes. We could go to Swig. We could do all the things.
We could drive by Jay-Z hair. We could buy a minky blanket.
Yeah.
You feel in it a little bit and you're like, yeah, that's me. I feel like the church dynamic, maybe people that are super strong in the church would disagree, but it captures a lot of the culture pretty
especially
well.
First season, a lot of the things that they explained, and even Jessi and her husband drinking in the hot tub and them being like, oh my gosh, how disrespectful. And I've literally been in those situations. Like it's very much like that.
It's conducive to modern Mormon or progressive Mormon. I don't feel like there's anyone on the show that really showcases the conservative side of Mormonism. Even a Jen.
But even the fact that they have these dynamics, oh, I haven't been going to church, or Jen being like, I don't feel close to God and I feel like he's not there. All of this drama mixed in with the church, that is so my early 20s. It really feels so relatable. The ingrained...
the mind F of it
thoughts all. And like it really is. And people active in the church are like, no, this is so not how Mormons are. And I'm like, no, this is a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the tendencies that you have from growing up in a religion like that. It's so accurate.
And it's very showcased. And even the little comments or just the opening prayers at all of the little dinners and all the events. And their language is very...
Well, it's so funny.
Mormon.
I was watching with Hayden last night, and he's like, Whitney claims to be the most Mormon, but she has the worst mouth. You guys are just dropping these bombs and not a garment in sight. It's just so
literally not
funny.
a garment in sight. I feel like Macy is probably the most, because she's like, I'm going to church every Sunday. But even her, I would classify as a progressive Mormon.
Well, it's funny because she's a California Mormon, which if you know, that is so accurate. And her family has probably been the most supportive and understanding of this is a business venture. It's not that deep. I'm going to try and be respectful of the church, but I'm going to have to do some things that maybe you don't like or whatever. Like she got pregnant in college, all of those different things, but loves God.
Totally. And I love her vibe because I feel like she is very Christ-like. She's very forgiving and trying to be inclusive. She doesn't really stir the pot. I love Macy.
She stirs the pot enough
to like, where
it's not like she's not contributing at all. Her and Mikayla. Okay, so we need to walk through each girl, but I feel like they've played it probably the best. Where
this
I'm like,
season,
if I were on this show, I would want to be in a situation like them, where you're still contributing, you're
still
watch.
Cool. Yeah, you're fun to watch. You're still cool. You have your own story, and you'll hear the drama out and say your 2 cents.
Yes,
but more level-headed, not messy.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I would say more Macy. Mikayla, I'm like, you have a stick up your butt about Whitney. What's going on with that? But Macy, I feel like she looks at each girl individually and is like, what's my relationship with you? And I want to work on that relationship and be there for you and support you and give you grace.
Yeah.
And even if people do her personally dirty, like a Whitney or whatever, she's very quick to be like, this is a waste of my time to hold these grudges. I'm just going to let it go. And I love that about her. Oh my gosh, Kate. Should we go through each girl or should we just go from the beginning of the show?
I want to go through each girl real quick and just get your thoughts.
Okay,
so we'll just do rapid fire. So Layla, what are your thoughts?
Oh, next.
Literally.
I'm sorry,
but you don't contribute anything.
Yeah, and she's such a leaf in the wind, in my opinion. Yeah. Where Taylor, they're on one brand trip together and it's like, oh, here's my phone, read all the messages. And I'm totally on your team and I'll totally stick up for you. And then when push comes to shove, she's silent. I think she wants to have an opinion and stand up and all these things, but it's kind of falling flat. Her story this season, I was just like, I don't really care.
And out of all the influencers in Utah, you guys could have casted, let's get someone else on there, you know?
I know.
You are boring and you don't contribute anything to this group. And the whole orgasm, divorce,
oh my gosh,
relationship.
That was so awkward, that whole conversation. It was just very try hard, like I really want to story this season and all this stuff. But maybe the girls are chill with her, but I don't even think that. Even friendship wise, I don't even feel like she's
sweet and fine and she tries. She's nice to the girls and puts in effort and stuff, but it feels a little desperate.
Yeah, but if I'm classifying all the girls, she's definitely like my bottom pick.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, Taylor
can do no wrong in my eyes. When Demi's talking about her being a shitty friend, when she's talking to her mom, she's like, I've gone through 4 years of infertility. I've gone through financial troubles, marriage, whatever. She's like, I've texted Taylor over 30 times, reaching out to her, checking in on her, seeing how she's doing. And she's never once ever reached out to me and asked how I'm doing. And Taylor's mom's like, well, she can't. She's just not in the headspace. But she's like, she hasn't been in the headspace for 4 years. She's been like this forever. And I feel like that would be really hard to be friends with, of someone who is never in a place to be a friend. But I love Taylor. She's great TV. I think she's so unhinged, which makes her so good. The fact that she can just start bawling at the drop of a hat, she'll literally just go instantly. And I'm like, wow, I don't ever really cry. And so it's so funny. I just can't imagine crying every single time someone talks to me.
No. Or you're freaking ripping someone's head off. Or there
I
really
love
is.
when she gets like feisty, but when the other girls get feisty, I'm like, okay, chill, you're a bitch. But when Taylor does it, I'm like, you go, girl. You started this shit. You are queen bee in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And she does get this crazy look in her eye where her head tilts and she's like, I'm about to freaking drop a bomb. Yeah. That's her energy. But the thing is too, I don't think she's a good friend, and I don't think she cares that she's not a good friend. No. And that's what I love about her, is she's very genuinely herself. Mm-hmm. And it is unhinged. Her making the post, no one commented for the CMAs, but they all texted her behind the scenes. She's just like, I don't care. I'm going to make this post. And I love that energy. But would I want to be her friend? No.
But I feel like if I was on the show with her, I would be like, Taylor, how is it? Like, your baby's so cute. I want to be on her good side.
Yes, I want to be on her good side versus everyone. But you see that in the season progress. Demi tries to come in and everyone's like, no, Taylor. There is a reason why she started it, because she has a level of scariness to her and natural authority. Mm-hmm. Granted, she did start it, so there is that, but I did create this and I will burn you to the ground if you cross me. And we see that with Demi this season.
Well, and I love how she's like, I share everything. I'm bleeding out on the floor and you're not sharing anything about your life. I totally agree with that. It's funny because she's giving like Kim Kardashian energy with the sisters, where she's like, I am the one who started this and you guys are eating out of the palm of my hand. And she gives that energy where it's this power dynamic that they'll never be able to get past.
Match.
But that storyline is so old to me, because it's the same thing with Whitney last. I'm trying to be queen bee. I'm trying to be the leader of Mom Talk. So what are your thoughts on Taylor?
Love her. And I'm like, she will be the queen. And please just stay messy.
Which is funny because before the show, she bugged me so bad. Like on TikTok and stuff. I just did not like her.
No.
Also, you know what I love? Side note.
What?
I love that our podcast is small enough and that we're not in this circle that we can have an open, candid conversation, because any other podcast that I listen to, I feel like everyone's
biased a little.
Be biased and make sure they don't ruffle any feathers with these girls or share their actual opinion about them because they want them on their podcast or they want to be friends. This is an honest conversation where we're going to tell you exactly how we feel about these people.
Exactly.
Which I love.
Totally. So love Taylor. But there's something about it where I'm scared of her. Don't want to be her friend. I don't think she's a good friend, but I do think she's queen. And I love her.
Do you kind of feel bad for her?
Yes, we'll get into that. Yeah. There's so much where I do feel like very bad for her. Okay, Mikayla.
I really like Mikayla, except for I hate how she's handling the Whitney situation, where I'm just like, get off your high horse and just be kind, be nice, be open to forgiveness, and that whole thing's bugging.
Whitney did Macy 10 times more dirty than she did Mikayla, and Macy's like, yeah, I forgive you, whatever. Making bacon, just like, I don't care. And I feel like Whitney hurt other people way more. And Mikayla is dying on this hill. Yeah. I will never forgive you. That's a boundary. She hates Whitney. It's almost like, in my opinion, we see throughout the season, I loved that Mikayla was more open and shared some of her trauma and her past, and I love her energy, but she's saying she's coming into, I'm not keeping my peace, I'm rocking the boat. That's the season this is for me. Yeah. And it's almost like she has channeled all of her hatred for so many different things towards Whitney. Yeah. And I don't think it's about Whitney. I feel like you're handling a lot of your emotional baggage, and you've been silent for so long. You've been very passive for so long. Yeah. And then the twig snapped and it all went to Whitney.
And I do feel like with Mikayla, a lot of times I feel like she's trying to earn her spot on the show, where she's trying to speak up, trying to stir the pot a little bit, where I'm like, oh, you're fighting to be here kind of thing. Because I do love this season too, because I feel like a lot of the storylines and we were able to dive deeper into their actual stories, which was cool. And hearing Mikayla's was good, because before last season, obviously she's been going through a lot with her autoimmune stuff and like said she was miserable last season. So I'm sure that's probably why she wasn't as vocal. But there were so many times I was like, why are you here? Same kind of Layla vibes.
Yes.
You are like
last season for sure, Layla vibes. But this season, I think out of all the girls, Macy and Mikayla are legit best friends. It's a true friendship.
And you can watch it and see that chemistry and really like it.
Yeah, and I feel like they go on drives and really get drinks. And even Demi and Jessi's friendship this season was forced a little bit, like their best friendship. But Mikayla and Macy, I think you guys are genuine best friends, which I love. But yeah, don't love the Whitney situation. I like her though this season a lot. I feel like she's sitting good.
Yeah, like I said, you guys are playing this perfectly. Ride it in the middle. Don't try and be Queen Bee. Don't try and be the villain. You're good.
Yeah, and even in these group fights, if they truly don't have something to say, they're not just going to be
There are times where Macy will step in and try and pull Taylor, and I'm like, girl, just let them be. There are times where I feel like Macy and Mikayla kind of give the energy of, wait, what's going on? Are you okay? Do you want me to, everything cool? You know?
But I feel like that comes from a peacekeeper, especially in Macy. She's very, okay, whoa.
Let's diffuse the situation.
Yeah, she's very mediator of the group.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm like, let's let them fight it out.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm like, yes, fight. Okay, Whitney.
So I actually went to high school with Whitney. We were good friends, have sleepovers, hang out. So it's hard for me to really form an opinion
based on the show because you've known her.
Outside of it. Last season, I did not agree with her stance. I hated that she was playing the victim. I just was like, oh my gosh, she's bugging. But she was always super nice in high school. I had no problems with her. She's very quirky and weird in a funny way, where
the best way.
So it's hard for me to form an opinion.
Just her slapping her butt. It's like Tourette's.
Let's go. I'm like, that is Whitney. But I haven't talked to her in years. I don't know her. It's hard for me to form an opinion. Same thing with Demi. I know Demi. And so it's hard to separate those two, but strictly speaking TV show, she's so much better this time. And I did feel bad for her during a lot of moments when like, let's take a vote, that whole thing. I was like,
my gosh, I wanted to die. It was worst.
Yeah, where she's like, I just kind of brought it up as a joke, but I really took it to heart.
And you see this in just television in general, where the bully or the problematic person then is kind of sorry and trying to get back in, and then you start feeling sorry for them.
Yep. It's like the classic arc coming back around. And it is playing true to reality TV, and we knew she'd probably have a redemption arc.
Yeah. But she's just trying so hard. Oh my gosh, what was the moment when she was trying to get the heat off of herself and she's like, yeah, I heard that too.
Oh, when they're at dinner. And she's like, wait, what's this thing about money? And she's like, honestly, I need to change the conversation, take the heat off me a little bit. And I was like, yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah. And then she didn't even hear anything, which is like, yeah, I heard that too.
It's so funny because in my mind, as far as what I know about her, she does not belong in Mom Talk and on this show. Her personality, she's very quirky, very whatever, like chill, cool, was the kind of girl who never wore makeup in high school, was always like, what's up? Very just doesn't fit in. But I kind of love that because now watching her on this season, you are the comedic relief and you don't belong, which is funny. Yeah, that you're wearing these puffy headbands and your style is so
or her
bad.
Just hand pumping her boobs like during the fights.
I do feel bad that she's postpartum in this season,
and that's the thing too, where she gives birth 3 days ago and she's on the pole, right?
The birth scene when she's like legs in the air, it's blurred out, but I'm like, holy crap.
No, I told Brandon, I was like, close your eyes, because Brandon knows her too, and I was like, close your eyes, you do not want to see Whitney like this.
I know. I told Hayden, I was like, we're watching Whitney give birth, this is so weird.
But even me, my birth videos are never up in my vagina.
The one that's from far, when she literally, what is that position called when you like happy baby pose? I was like, oh my gosh, it's one thing if your baby's coming. It was bad.
And I just feel like that scene dragged on a little long. I was like, okay, let's cut to her head shot. Do it from like her head below and then the baby coming out. You know what I mean? Like in movies. But just a straight bad shot.
But when they're at Friendsgiving and Connor gives that speech.
Oh my gosh.
And she's crying and they kiss. And I'm like, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy you guys are having fun. You're in this friend group. And it does seem so fun that the husbands are there. As much drama as there is, they're on this really fun ride together. And I'm glad she's back in. Is she my favorite? No. But yeah, I hope she stays in Mom Talk. I hope that she stays on the show. As much as she seems like she's not like the others, it's fun and funny.
So the bacon scene when she goes in with Macy and she's like, da, da, da. There was a little bit of season 1 Whitney coming out where she's like, I don't regret it though. She's very stubborn.
Trying to give a PC answer. How can I not take accountability in this moment, but also
she's
get her to forgive me?
She's very bad at just owning the accountability part of it. It's like genuinely she doesn't think that she did anything wrong. And I don't know what that says about her, but I did see a little bit of season 1 Whitney in that scene where I was just like, no, Whit, just say I regret it. Even if you don't, Macy's wanting that.
Like, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. I wish I could have been. Say a little bit more.
It was not it for me. Okay, who else?
So what are your thoughts on Whitney though? You love her, hate her?
Whitney, same thing. I'm so happy she's back in. But I'm thinking now with all of the press, all the Mom Talk girls, and then it's Demi and Whitney. And we left on Demi being like, I'm out of Mom Talk. I wonder if they're both not voted back in.
Yeah.
That's the energy it's giving. So I'm curious to see the next season what it's going to be like. And I don't think Whitney has a genuine friendship with any of those girls. I don't think she has a genuine friendship with Demi right now. I don't think it's genuine. It's very situational and like trying to get in. But does she have like a Macy and Mikayla relationship with anyone? No.
And I think that's just her personality. I don't think anyone's really attracted to her as a best friend. Just the dynamics and she brings to the table. I don't think she's really that best friend energy.
Yeah, I do think she was searching for a lifeboat this season, and Demi getting shunned. It's weird that we see the evolution of Demi harping on Whitney in the beginning, and then by the end she's like, Whitney, because they both need each other, but it's a very situational friendship where neither of them go together. Like Demi, her personality and Whitney's personality are not conducive for a best friendship.
Did you see when they're doing press, they did this picture or video
and they
of them kissing, and they're just like, the rumors about us are true. I'm like, this is so cringe. Your friendship's not authentic. You're clinging to each other, and this whole thing, and
it's reading weird. That it's reading that bad.
But I do feel like Whitney tried with Jen. She was really sweet to Jen.
Oh my gosh, that was part of my notes. That scene where she goes to Jen and she's genuinely concerned and cleaning up for her, I was crying. Whitney might have all of her things, but at the end of the day, she just reads like young woman's counselor, you know?
She was a really good friend to Jen, genuinely listening to her, hearing her out, being there. She's like, all that matters is that you're okay, all of those things. And then she was very welcoming to Miranda and kind of tried to cling on to that. But she did seem very genuine with Jen. But it's like, okay, Jen's my lifeboat. Maybe Miranda, the newbie, can be my lifeboat. Who can I get in with? What relationship have I not destroyed yet that I still have like a chance with? And Jen's vulnerable. Obviously, I don't think there's intentionally doing that, but I think it's an easy target to
But I feel like with Miranda, it was very disingenuous. You could see it was like, can I cling to this, you know? And I think even Miranda, she's realizing that now. She's like, oh, I think
and that friendship faded. I don't really feel like it went
it
anywhere.
Blossomed. Yeah. I don't think Miranda has issues with her, but she was like, oh, I feel like you were kind of using me in that situation. I do think with Jen, there was a possibility towards the beginning where she was like, I can get in with Jen because Jen was getting harped on. And
part of that could have just been Jen really needs a friend. We need to show her support, because I do love, she was very loyal to her, and she's like, we've all been pregnant. She does have a lot of redeeming qualities, and we knew that she would have that redemption arc, and so she's definitely come back. Yes,
but I think it started maybe calculated with Jen, but then that scene where Jen's like, I'm suffering with mental health, it's switched into like, I really want to be a genuine friend and be there for you. And I really appreciated that and I
think that was genuine.
Yes, totally. Okay, so Jen.
She was bugging. I'm sorry. I know she's going through a lot, but it is interesting because Demi and Brett were on Vial Files, and they were talking about how her husband's a super nice guy and that he didn't actually gamble away her money, and that Jen has spread a lot of lies and things like that. And then the whole, we're related to Ben Affleck, and her husband's like, Jen, you have to stop telling people that. I'm wondering what goes on behind closed doors type thing. Where last season you feel so bad for her husband's crazy, and this season he's so nice, but it's like, is he really on his best behavior to come back? I don't know, just her energy, she was bugging me.
Yes, I agree. It's weird though, because I feel like each girl had a little character arc this season where it was like each of them, I mean, there was a few that kind of stayed more neutral, but a lot of them started one way at the season and ended a completely opposite way.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I feel like similar with Jen, I think she truly, when she says that was the hardest year of her life, it was. And I think her erratic behavior is showcased where she really is dealing with stuff. And that is in the form of not being forthcoming, kind of losing the plot. There's issues in her stories. She's frantic a little bit, but I think that that's not in a malicious way. I don't think she's trying to get clout. I don't think she's trying to necessarily get forgiveness. I think she's struggling and suffering, and we saw that. And I think by the end, when you see her state of mind, it kind of makes sense. But does that excuse her behavior? Jen, what are you doing?
Well, a lot of the girls have said, when asked the question, who puts on the biggest show when cameras go on, they say her.
I don't know right now. Demi's word and Brett's word.
Well, that's true. I don't know. No, I agree. But I think that a couple other people have said that. Whitney said that. Jessi said that. I think other people have said that. Even if they're still friends with her, she does seem very clout chasey in a way, where all that aside, obviously she got pregnant and she going through it mentally and all of that. So of course, excusable and all of those things. But I think a little bit of this filter came off this season for me with her, where I'm like, oh, you're not this innocent little girl that is just fun dancing on the counter. You actually are a little bit more calculated than maybe we think. And like, you have more of that than we think.
And I think it's like, there's two sides to every story. Do I like Zach? Like, no, but there's more like dysfunction than just his side of things. And I think that was seen, like shown this season.
Yeah. And I think like there was times and scenes where she's like, are you gonna let me talk? Like, you talked for 5 minutes, like let me talk. Where I'm like, okay, you're kind of overcompensating now, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a voice this season and I'm gonna stand up to him and stuff, which is great to see, but at the same time felt very forced. You're saying that you're separated, you kicked him out of your house, and then you're pregnant. It's like, how much of a stand were you really taking, and how much were you really advocating for yourself?
And I do think Zach needed that harsh reality check of, you're a dick, and let's get some things in check. And you see that with him this season too, where it's like he's being very calculated, where he is being on his best behavior.
Yes,
but there is those through lines. I think he really loves Jen. And he really wants his family to thrive and succeed. And I think Jen is the same. And then they both have their bad qualities, and you see them and you kind of see through what they're trying to show people. But the best thing for Jen is everyone was ready to collectively, they almost need the villain, you know, for them to thrive. And that's normal in a friend group in general, where you're kind of harping on one person.
Or one husband.
Or one husband or whatever it is. And I think Jen, it was to this boiling point where everyone was going to turn on Jen. And then Jen stepped back. And that was the best thing she could have ever done, because then the next few episodes, it was everyone turning on Demi. It was like, is Taylor going to be canceled? And then it was Demi.
They kind of did the work for her.
And then now.
Like, that was, I felt like her plan was, I'm going to take down Demi. I'm going to start bringing up the Italy stuff. I'm going to start doing all the things. And it kind of just happened naturally. But then Demi was the one leading the charge of, Jen, we got to confront her and all this stuff. But now everyone's turning it on to me. So it's like, do we really think that way about Jen, or were we just following Demi? Maybe we will give Jen a second chance. And so I feel like Jen was probably welcomed back into the fold very easily. Yep.
Because it was Demi is out.
Well, and it was shocking to hear that her husband stopped going to church. But I think that's going to be really good for their marriage, whether he comes back to the church or not, just for him to get a little bit more empathy, a little bit more understanding, open up his mind, stop being so close-minded, like his family and how they were so strict Mormon. This will probably carve a little bit of character out in him, and hopefully that will help their marriage.
Yeah, and we will hopefully see what's going on in their relationship in the next season. But online, they seem very happy and kind of really working it out back together. And I am rooting for them. Yeah. I'm rooting for family. I'm rooting for them to be together. And do I think either of them are perfect? No. I still don't like Zach, but he is making progress.
Yep.
And she was struggling and suffering, and it was really hard to see. Yeah. That last episode she was in, you can see she's struggling, and it's not for attention.
And the fact that she stopped filming shows that she took it seriously and was actually really struggling. She's willing to give that up, that time on TV and things. I'm proud of her for putting herself first, putting that on the back burner and taking care of herself.
Yeah. So I think Jen started one way of the season where I'm like, you're bugging me so bad. Like, I feel like I was on the boat with Demi and Jessi a little bit. Yeah. Not so harsh, but I was like, yeah, she is annoying and she is lying and what is going on. But then by the end, I was like, okay, let her do her thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I like Jen right now, you know?
I wouldn't say I like her, but I'm, I guess, neutral, because it really swayed this way to not liking her. And then I liked her, then not like her. And now it's just kind of sitting in the middle. Yeah. So we'll see what direction the wind blows next season.
It's so funny because I feel like I'm in this friend group and I have a strong opinion. I could sit on the couch and be like, oh my gosh, da, 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 da. It's so funny. And it really is like, we'll see what happens. And I'm sure these girls feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
It is scary because you really never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. You could be next. You could say something wrong. Someone could turn against you.
Okay. So let's go into Demi.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Demi?
It's wild how this season took with her. Because she starts out being a fan favorite from last year, and you really see how that went to her head a little bit. And it starts out and she feels like she's untouchable, and then a lot of her ugly qualities are rearing its head a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's like the money thing, the power, the wanting to be in charge, and her strong opinions on things and her projections and stuff. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And so it's so funny because I started out being like, Demi, I love you. And like, you and Jessi are so cute and you're best friends. And I knew that there was a falling out because of press and stuff and the interviews. But by episode 3, I'm like, how does this happen? I still love Demi.
Yeah.
And then by the end, I'm like, wow. The true colors are coming out, her and Brett's relationship. I feel like this season, Demi and Brett are kind of giving like Walmart, Blake, and Ryan vibes.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Just the whole thing.
The hot mic moment.
And then just the allegations. And there's like, oh, we have the perfect marriage. We have the perfect marriage. But we kind of see through. We're seeing some cracks. All of that.
Her like, we're going skinny dipping. And he's like, no, you're not. And then like, she's like, oh yeah, like I should respect my stepsons. And it's like, Kate. Okay, we'll get into that. But anyways, yes.
But then also it's like these allegations are coming out about Demi and Brett's on interviews being like, she's the best woman, like doesn't love clout at all. She doesn't care about being famous. It's giving like Ryan defending Blake.
Yes.
You know? 1000%. And it's like, do you think we're dumb? We kind of see what's going on.
There's a little bit of smoke spewing out. We know where there's smoke, there's fire. And you're not really fooling anyone.
And the thing is, Taylor is very good at clocking people. And I do feel like there is a little bit of jealousy on Taylor's part towards Demi and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it stemmed from, where she was like, oh, Demi, there is some jealousy there.
I think that there may be some jealousy, but I also think Taylor can see right through that when she says, when you act like you have this perfect relationship, it feels like you're overcompensating for something. And I've seen that in my own life with my own friends where it's like, yeah, something's off.
Exactly. And I feel like even just like in the sprinkle store, in the bakery store or whatever, and she was like, you know, you didn't cheat on your ex-wife and you didn't do this. It almost felt rehearsed a little bit. She was like, I'm going to clear your name.
Yep.
And then they walk out and the hot mic is on. And it's like, well, you're giving like...
And she's like, and you're like, do we still love each other? And she's like, no shit, we love each other. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that was very tame for a hot mic moment. And first of all, the whole confession of Brett cheating, I'm like, it's so stupid. Even us hearing it, I don't really believe it. Like,
totally.
It's dumb. And so the fact that it's getting to their heads, obviously reality TV is going to affect your relationship. And you guys have been through it with the whole Marciano thing and everything that has happened, like Demi's downfall. And this is probably really hard on your family and really hard on your relationship. And like, you guys are in your heads really overthinking this.
Exactly. My guess is there's a lot of jealousy issues. And I feel like same with Blake and Ryan.
Yeah.
And I just think it's very telling.
Power hungry.
My thing though is I'm confused about the money situation. What do you think happened? They were saying, here's the prices, but if Jessi's off, then you guys get more. And then she was like, yeah, screw Jessi.
Yeah.
Let's kick her off. Is that...
From my understanding, they were negotiating contracts and... Basically, I think it was like, okay, you guys, let's say you each get $100,000 for this season, right? But if we limit it down the cast to 6 people instead of 7 people, we could cut Jessi out and we'd all get $150,000 per season. But I'm just like, why not cut out, that's your best friend? Like, why was it Jessi? That's what I'm confused about.
I think that her and Jessi weren't close at the time because she even said at dinner, like, we weren't good at the time. That's why I said that.
That's fine. They weren't good at the time and they've made up or whatever, but why not be like, let's cut Layla out or like, let's not let Miranda on or like, you know, like,
and I'm
why
so
Jessi?
Curious like about the number things. Like,
well, because she's like, well, Jessi's a millionaire, so she doesn't need it, but maybe she wants to be on the show for her business. And it's not even just about how much we're getting paid for this season.
And I think that all the girls saw Demi's true colors there where she would vote any of us off.
Well, in
for
hearing
money.
that, they're like, that's your best friend. Even me hearing that, I'm like, whoa, that says a lot about your character.
Yes. And I think that even on her interview, the Files interview sucked because it was 10 minutes.
Yeah. And they didn't even really get into anything.
I think that they cut a lot. I think that they had maybe editing power and they decided to scrap all the Marciano stuff. I think they talked a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because she kept on saying, oh, Nick reminded me this and this. And I'm like,
you guys go to dinner? What? Yeah.
You guys talked longer than this.
Yeah, it was a letdown.
But when she was on that episode, she said, for me, it's all about getting that bag. All she wants is money.
Yeah.
And so with that intention, I get that, but I feel like the reason why we all like Taylor as a collective is, yeah, she wants money, but she wants more than that. It's almost like this little girl in her wants to be healed and she wants friendship and she wants to be liked and she wants to be loved.
Yeah.
More than money.
Yeah. Yeah, because
and more than status and not.
Yeah.
And the thing about Taylor too is she's a little trashy. Her style and
she
comes with like ratty hair and she does not give an F.
Yeah, she's so scrappy.
She's scrappy.
Yeah, very scrappy, very unhinged, very messy. But that's why I love her because
feels cozy. Where you're more real than all these girls. You don't care, but I think her true desires are deeper than money.
Yeah,
she wants to be loved and ultimately probably by her real dad in these relationships.
Yeah, she kind of has this mindset of abundance too, where some of these girls like a Layla or a Demi, it's very scarcity mindset. Oh, I have to climb my way to the top, I have to be queen, I have to mom talk, blah blah. And Taylor's just like, yeah, I started this shit and she's not worried about anything. And obviously like she's the queen, she's like, there's the door, leave, I don't care, I'm not coming tonight, like whatever.
Yeah, and there'll be a spot for me if I come back, and if not, I don't care.
Yeah,
like
which we love that energy. It's very attractive.
Exactly. And I think all the girls have a little bit of, I could be on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And Taylor's like, if I am, whatever. Also, there was all these watch parties and premiere parties and Taylor wasn't at any of them. And her kids were sick. She posted, I'm staying home with my sick kids. But even that, where she's just like, nah.
Hope you guys enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
And I feel like other people would be like, I'm going to get a babysitter and I have to go to these to promote.
Yeah.
You know?
Like a Macy's. This is business. This is my livelihood. This is, Yeah, that's exactly why I say the abundance mindset, where Taylor's always just like, there will be more to come. I don't have to scramble right now because...
And good and bad.
More opportunity, yeah.
But Demi, it's sad, but I can see why the girls are turning on her.
Yeah.
It makes me sad, though. I don't want her out. I think hopefully there's mending of relationships down the road.
Yeah. I don't think it will be it. Maybe it's it for her and Jessi, but I think... she didn't burn all the bridges.
I just can't see her pulling a Whitney and trying to crawl her way back in and be like a yes woman. I just can't see her doing what Whitney did. She's too spicy for that and too prideful, but also you do need them if you want to be in this. But you see with the premieres and they're doing their own stuff and then all the other girls are doing their stuff.
Season 1 came out, how Whitney was so on the outs. I really feel like, especially when you're filming a show, there's always a way back in. There's always somehow, some way. I've watched enough Real Housewives. I've watched enough reality TV to know that there's always
a way in. And producers are not going to let that happen.
She'll probably cling on to like a Miranda and find her way back in, might film separately for a couple episodes and then attends a party. It's going to be the classic tale as old as time. She'll find her way back in. I don't think she'll be coming back with her tail between her legs, but I do think that there are moments with Demi where she can be very level-headed. And her perspectives, I'm like, oh yeah, like, you really know how to have a conversation. There's also moments where I'm like, Kate, chill, you're being a bitch.
With the whole Taylor thing, she handled that wrong, because even Macy and Mikayla were like, whoa, you're being kind of intense when they were all talking about her.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah, this, and you can tell that there's so much baggage there, and it's not just this one instance, and everyone's like, whoa, you're overreacting.
Well, and just the way that she's handled all the drama that's gone down. Her and freaking Brett posting that Taylor looks like Francine from Arthur and stuff. Just low blows, and you and your husband ganging up on Taylor. It's not a good look.
Totally. And she's very prideful right now, so I'm curious to see how that goes.
It's kind of just the what goes up must come down type thing. Where it's just like you can't really stay at the top, and it definitely got to her head.
But also a potential thing is next season, now that Demi and Whitney are kind of out, those other girls might be under a pressure cooker and someone else is going to become the villain of that little group, and then maybe they'll kind of be outcasted and everyone will just hop to either side. Last season, Whitney could have literally left the show and the show would have continued and we would have just been like, okay, cool. I think with Demi, she has enough of a role in it and a popularity and the reality television gold of it all. I don't think that she's going to be done. I don't feel like she would literally leave.
No, it's hard because I think she is desperate enough for money that she would. But from what she posts and things, she seems very much like family's all that matters. I'm going to protect my peace. So I'm wondering if she would ever leave. If this gets to be too much, she gets so much hate for this season.
I was looking at her comments yesterday and they were bad.
Yeah.
All of her comments on her last post were really bad.
Yeah, it's sad.
I hate just the online hate of it all to anyone.
Have your opinion and things. You can not like her, but what's the point of commenting? And like,
exactly. I do feel like there's more to come with her and Brett's relationship.
Yeah. ...
Yeah. Totally. Okay, so let's do Miranda.
I don't feel like we saw a ton of her personal story, personal life.
It was her dipping her toe in.
Yes.
But what I did see, I'm like, I love her.
Yeah, I really like her too. And I feel like she's really chill, super nice to everyone.
Very genuine. I feel like out of everyone right now, again, we just saw a little glimpse, but she's kind of giving Macy vibes in the sense of more level-headed. It's weird though, because with Macy, she's still very much in the middle. And I feel like with Miranda, she's trying to be included. You can tell like she wants to be included, but isn't in completely yet. So I'm curious to see how her personality blossoms. But as of right now, I feel like she's going to kind of form my own opinions. I'm going to forgive quickly. I love her and Taylor's friendship.
I know, me too. I'm glad that they've made up and that they're friends again. I hope that they continue to be super close.
I know, and I feel like even right now they're not super close. Taylor was like, we have this natural chemistry about us. You see that. I think there's a lot of hurt on both of their ends with everything that happened, but I want them to mend because Taylor is a crappy friend. But I think Miranda could handle that because she's so chill and doesn't need all of these excess things. And their vibe is very like Taylor could be the queen and she could be right beside her. I would love that duo to be so
president and vice president.
Yes. I would love it to be so strong.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more of her. I'm glad she's on the show. I'm really happy that she signed on for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her for not doing season 1.
Totally. And I think she handled it really well. Her conversations about it and was very open. And also, I get where she's coming from, where she was like, I wasn't involved, because it is embarrassing, but she's kind of owned that. Like, I regret this and I'm embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. And that's a normal, healthy reaction to what happened, where Taylor's very unhinged and and then he fucked me and whatever. A normal person who found themselves in that situation, that's pretty accurate of like how a normal person would react.
Exactly. And just wanting to distance and being embarrassed. And I don't want my mom and dad to know I had like sex with my husband with another couple in there with me. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. I don't care to spill all these details and really
get into it.
Up. Yeah.
Yes. So I am very happy that she's on the season.
Yeah. I have nothing bad to say about her. Okay.
So Jessi.
Jessi.
1, 2, 3. Jessi. I don't know.
Her personality in general annoys me. She's very like, blah, blah, blah. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. She seems very puppy dog energy, like golden retriever energy in the friend group. She is very sweet to everyone. And I would probably get along with her. She seems like a really nice person to all of those girls. She has been genuine. She's always curling their hair and like, taking care of them. The mama bear of the group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just her, when she's laughing, her personality in general, it just feels a little chaotic and over the top to me.
I know, I can't pinpoint it because I definitely like her, but there's something about it where it's not like I love her.
And she does seem very fame hungry. I think this is everything to her.
I think all of them have different goals, and her goal is to be famous.
Rubbing shoulders with the Vanderpump Rules cast.
Exactly.
That is the goal at the end for her. Where other people financially independent, or for Macy, it's going to make her New York Times bestseller and help her business grow. They have their own whys, and hers is very much like clout, fame. Camaraderie.
It's funny because it's not even necessarily clout. I don't feel like she's a clout chasey. I think she genuinely wants to be a reality star. There's a difference between a clout chaser and wanting to be famous.
Yeah. Or just be in the same circles as famous people.
She wants to be at the table with all of these.
Yeah, that's exactly it. She wants to be at the table with these people and be part of that world.
Yes, exactly. And you kind of just see that. But she was on the talk show with Kelly Ripa and her husband. But even her media training, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past her to have a legit media training coach. Mm-hmm. She was so good.
Really?
So good. You hear Miranda on Vile Files, her voice is shaky. She's nervous. She's kind of mumbling over her words a little bit. Jessi is just, she wants to be the host of Love Island. She wants to be an Ariana Madix 2.0.
Totally.
She's just sitting there talking and I'm like, you're so good at this.
I didn't watch it.
And she's just like, oh yeah, like Mormons, we love our soda, we love this.
Very
huge
businesswoman.
Yes, businesswoman. But maybe that's what it is, where she's very used to public speaking. She's very used to training people. She's
like a leader.
But it's weird because I don't feel like she's chasing to be the leader of Mom Talk at all.
I think she's just fine being at the table, not driving the bus.
Mm-hmm. And I think she's genuinely trying to find true friendships with Demi. And she's not doing anything to backstab people, which is amazing. I feel like Demi, there's let's kick Jessi off. Her doing hair sucks. All of these things. It's a pattern where Demi's not a very loyal friend. And I feel like Jessi is not one to be vindictive or intentionally mean. Do you agree with that? And it's the hibachi thing.
Yeah, I think the stuff that she does do to stir up stuff is very much for the show, to like prove her worth on the show, where she's like, you know me, I love to stir the pot, dressing up as Jen, those type of catty things, but it feels almost to get validation from Demi or whoever they're hating at the moment. Jen's my new Whitney, and I feel like she very much follows the trend.
And then is trying to make good TV. And she's even said this a million times. They struck gold with us. All of these comments and stuff.
And she auditioned for the show when they recast it because Taylor went to jail. And it's kind of one of those where it seeps through that she wasn't part of this group.
Exactly. I forget about that. She wasn't in the original Mom Talk at all.
No,
did not do the TikToks. And I feel like a Miranda, they came to her again and was like, do you want to be on season 2?
Yeah, because it makes sense for her to be there. But what do you think about Jessi, just like as a person? Do you like her?
It's weird because she does give girl boss energy in the best way and kind of the cringe way. I like her, and I feel like if I was sitting in a room with her, I'd be like, you're very genuine and sincere.
Which is so weird because I went to that Sir Walter event and I sat next to her. This was like right before the show came out. And she was like sitting with her little posse, was just kind of bitching about things and just giving off the worst energy. And I remember being like, oh, I'm so curious to see how, because I don't know her at all. I didn't even talk to her, but I remember me and my sister being like, she was whatever. And then seeing her on the show, I'm like, oh no, she is so sweet. But I've heard so many people who are in the hair industry, and I've heard a lot of crap about her.
Oh, crap about her.
Oh, yeah. Even before the show years ago, all the drama that's happened with her and how bitchy she is. It's just interesting. I don't feel like her reputation before the show matches how she is on the show, which makes me kind of confused on.
Well, I think it's bleeding through a little bit. We're the fame hungry.
Of course, you want to be best friends with all these people. Of course, you're going to be so sweet and a girl's girl because you're on this show.
She's definitely not a girl's girl. Here's the difference. She's a mean girl that needs a best friend to
guide her.
Not even guide her, but just kind of goes with the trend. There's a difference between a true girl's girl, in my opinion, like a Macy. Yeah. Where she's like, I am really going to give people the benefit of that. I want to show up for people even if they don't show up for me. She really leads with love, Macy. And Jessi's motives are different than that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She's more, I want the status of being a good girl's girlfriend, but also she's not doing anything vindictive and truly
to people's faces. Behind their backs, yes.
Yes, but
where it seems like she'll try and be really catty just to be catty.
Yes, I feel like Demi is more, I'm genuinely mad and I don't like you and I'm going to try
call people out on their stuff. Jessi does not call people out on their stuff.
No, and she tried to with Jen when they sat down about like the Zach conversation, and she was really trying to, but
it feels like it takes a lot more effort for her to do it versus Demi.
Yes. But I would classify her motives as just trying to be famous.
Totally. But I want her on the show. It's not like a Layla. The people I could lose is a Layla and Mikayla probably.
Yep.
But I would probably miss Mikayla and Macy's dynamic.
Yeah, Mikayla kind of came up for me this season. Yeah. Can we just say one other thing about Mikayla? Is it not weird that she got pregnant when she was 16 and her husband was 21? And then coming off of her sexual assault stuff,
she got pregnant like a year later
by someone older getting her pregnant. Her husband seems so sweet and cute on the show, but I can't get that out of my head anytime I see a scene of them.
Well, even before her talking about her sexual abuse, I am like, why didn't they address this in season 1? It is weird. Like, it is inappropriate and it is kind of crazy.
And also she's going through all this mental, emotional, physical abuse stuff. Clearly you're not at a right headspace when you're 16 in general. But then with that on top of it, it feels like someone's being taken advantage of, you know? Yeah. But then also you see him and you see their dynamic in their relationship and it's like, they're so sweet. And then you're like, oh, 5-year age gap is nothing. But when someone's 16 and someone's 21 and someone had dealt with all that stuff, it is weird.
Yeah. It's sad.
And that has nothing to say maybe they have such a great relationship, but I'm like, this guy needs to, I feel like, not that they owe us that, but it is in my head every time they're on screen together.
Yeah, it is in mine too. And that's maybe something that when she's meeting with her therapist, maybe they could have touched on that to clear the air. I know it sounds inappropriate or whatever, but this was the dynamic, or, you know.
Yes. And even validating her relationship in the sense of it was very what I needed at the time. And clearly we've built this beautiful life, and I know it isn't very traditional and appropriate, but you know what I'm saying? Just something. But then I think I would have a different perspective if I knew a little bit more context behind that. And it's like they don't even want to touch on it.
Yeah. Like how they met.
Yeah. But they all have kind of traumatic background. Yeah. But overall, same with Jessi. I want her on the show. And I think she does make for good reality television when she's dressing up as J-Lo and she has these parties and all these things. She's definitely a huge asset.
Yeah, and she contributes
a lot to the show. Exactly. Okay, so did we go over everyone?
Yeah. That was everyone, right?
Yes, and it's nice because I feel like we touched on the season a lot.
Yeah.
But I want to go through our thoughts on everything because I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, so let's kind of walk through the episodes and talk about the best and worst moments in that stood out to you. We binged it in 2 days and we haven't talked about it at all. So I'm dying to just rehash.
I know. On
everything.
my drive down here, I was like, I want to call her, but I was trying to be like, let's save it.
Even I wanted to finish it, but then I also want to know everyone's thoughts, and so I haven't been watching anything.
Oh, it's been all over my TikTok. I didn't finish it in one day, and I'm like, I can't watch any of this.
I know. So I'm excited to watch all that stuff and hear everybody's thoughts, but it'll be good to share our organic thoughts before we get all that.
Yes, exactly. Okay, episode 1. Here's my biggest thing. That Jenna situation when she comes over and shows Taylor her text messages between her and Dakota, I was dying.
I know.
When they zoomed up on her face when Taylor's like, ah, like
I know. Oh.
She's so literally awkward. Like, can I leave?
Yeah.
The secondhand awkwardness I felt in that moment.
But honestly, good for her. That's a girl's girl. Being like, yes, you can read my text messages, whatever you want to know. Here
exactly. I felt like it was so good, but that reality television moment is gonna sear in my brain a little bit. Of just
she's just the zoom and Macy's just comforting Taylor, and she's just like
looking down at her huge nails, just like, I hate my life right now. Because Taylor, that's what I'm saying about Taylor. She doesn't care about any scenario she's in. She will feel her feelings to the max.
And that's what's amazing. There's no social awareness.
Zero.
She's like, yeah, he fucked me that night. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yes. But that whole scene was perfect because I loved that it was just Macy and Taylor. Mm-hmm. And I loved that her and Jenna had that conversation and that Jenna was just so down to just tell her everything.
I know, and it felt really good to me that she wasn't defending Dakota at all or anything. She's like, here's this.
And I feel like Jenna seemed genuine for all of the people that could have been in that situation and come on the show and been like, yeah, he this. But she's like, no, genuinely, I have trust issues too. I want you to know, whatever. But I was crazy that she told Taylor that Dakota said that he was in it for clout. That she was teaching him how to.
And it just presses on it. Here's the thing. This situation has blown so far out of proportion. They weren't together.
So what are your thoughts on the actual situation? The Jenna, Dakota, Taylor situation? Do you feel like Taylor's overreacting?
Yes, I do. But here's the thing. Dakota, he lied because he didn't want to lose Taylor, which always the wrong choice. Always. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was genuinely like, I want to F you at night and take Jenna on a date and I see a future with Jenna.
That's every guy. When you're first dating someone, I can't tell you how many times I went on dates and I found out a guy took a different girl out the next day or went and whatever.
Yes.
Until you're exclusive, it's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, and here's a bad thing about Taylor is when she hears something she doesn't like, she tends to shut off emotionally. Yeah. And she's like, no. And I think Dakota might have seen that side of her a little bit and that's why he lied. I think he was like, if I tell her the truth now, we're done. Mm-hmm. And clearly Dakota's addiction has switched to Taylor. Taylor is 1,000% his new addiction.
Fixation.
Yes. All of his addict behaviors are transferring to Taylor. It's so obvious. And just the toxicity of it all. But I think he lied when she needed to hear the truth to build a foundation. And so it's not even the act of what he did. It's the fact that he did lie. And then she felt like their whole relationship was built on lies.
Yeah.
The foundation completely shattered. So I see where she's coming from. And it's all been him trying to validate her like, no, but I do love you. And in the beginning, what he should have done, being willing to lose her, is tell her the truth. And then if it would have ended, it would have ended, but at least it wouldn't be where it is now, which is an absolute disaster of a situation.
But I feel like even that aside, the whole Jenna thing, I feel like their personalities together, they would just have issues no matter what.
They're just so toxic. They both need to find someone extremely healthy
that diffuses the fire every time it starts and is like, I'm not going to let you behave this way. In the best way. Yes. I'm not going to feed into this fire and it's not going to go anywhere.
It's kind of like my relationship with Brandon, I think, a little bit, where I'd always dated toxic people and they like fed into a lot of the drama. And then I tried to implement that with Brandon. I was like, oh, and he's like, what's going on? There's no cameras around. Let's just have a conversation. I love you and I'm here.
Yeah. And how can you push back on that?
Yeah.
If Taylor dated someone like Brandon, it would be such a different story.
Exactly.
But I feel like she probably never would.
No, because she's so attracted to broken, toxic people.
And it's going to continue.
Yes, it's a sick cycle. They're in it thick. And you can tell even now they're fighting on socials and just back and forth. And I hate to be this person, but it makes me sad when they're fighting at the dinner table and then it is a close-up of Ever's face. And I'm just like, I want to cry because this is so sad.
Yeah. that's the thing, is just, why did you bring a baby into the world before you guys were stable? And you really have to.
And
think
she
through
even
that
says
stuff.
it though. She's like, Band-Aid babies don't work. She knows all of this, and her
but like she had a miscarriage, an ectopic pregnancy,
yes.
and then got pregnant again. She doesn't ever even talk about the logic through that. She's just like, yeah, I'm pregnant. It's like, okay, well, clearly you guys were trying.
That's the thing, is like, she thought that they both probably thought I was going to fix everything. And and it's like, I think I can relate, not to the pregnancy part, but you just, in a toxic relationship, you want so desperately for something to fix you and fix a situation.
And he wanted to be a dad so bad, and all of the things. Like,
and at the end of the day, they love their son, and you can clearly see that. But they're not even a place to really be able to emotionally show up for their kids. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just, she has so much to work through, and it's devastating. You go to the dinner scene in episode 1, and
that made me sick. Her family,
every single girl, especially growing up Mormon, when the dad was like, "Does that say about you?" We all felt that.
Yeah,
we all felt that to our core.
Yeah. Like, women, if you're dressing immodestly, you are pornography, and you are the problem, and you are enticing these men to do these things. This guy's disrespecting your daughter, and you say, what does that say about you? And the way he says it, and the way...
And he's like, and then gets up and leaves. And then she's like, yeah, I'm telling you, I'm garbage.
I wonder where those beliefs are coming from. Yeah, I'm telling you I'm trash, whatever. But it's like, don't shame yourself into, okay, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have jumped into having sex with him just because of the emotional weight that you were carrying. Or maybe if that's too much for you, if he's seeing other people while you guys are having sex, try and wait until you're exclusive to protect your heart or whatever.
Yeah, and I think she understands
She understands that now. But as a parent, never ever say anything like that to your kids, especially your daughter. And honestly, it's crazy because her mom's super supportive and helps her with her kids, and they seem really close. But the relationship that her family has with faith and the church is really, I think, a toxic relationship. Especially her mom's like, yeah, that's why I believe in the church, the family, that I think you should pray. And when the sister is giving the whole speech about, it's God, Taylor, and he's there, and you need to whatever, I'm like, you guys are leaning on this religion in a horrible way.
Yeah, it's like a toxicity of any religion probably is coming out so strong with her family and the way that they talk.
Yeah.
I will say I like the sister. I feel like she's more level-headed, and she was like, Kate, then stop sleeping with him. What would you tell your daughter? And she was like, that this is dumb and it's not going to work. And I feel like the sister really helps Taylor see some logic.
I loved the things that the sister had to say outside of her bearing her testimony about Jesus and whatever.
Yes, but the mom, I think you can see some patterns of why Taylor is the way that she is. The mom's very like clout chasing. You can tell.
Oh yeah. The mom's freaking plastic surgery transformation.
I died. I was like, oh, she thinks she got the bags from last season, and she was like straight to the plastic surgeon.
Yeah, straight to the Ozempic office.
It was like, we're going to get hot. It was classic. But growing up with a mother like that, there is something that it does.
It rings true. You look at Taylor, you look at her mom, and you're like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, and just the literal daddy issues. And then the wanting to, I think it all comes back to she just wants to be loved.
Yeah.
That's all she wants.
You know what she's been through. You know what she's battling. So why would you like say that?
I know. And I think everyone can agree with that comment with the dad. All of us were like, oof.
That was so bad.
So bad. But that wraps up episode 1. Episode 2 was so good. Every episode. Highlight for me.
Halloween party?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
2 of the best moments is Miranda with the claw. Like, Chase, get out of here. And all night with the claw.
Yeah.
I was like, this is reality gold.
The most random costume ever.
She was from SpongeBob, the crab in SpongeBob. I
know, but like, but so I'm just random.
Like, it was so good.
Freaking Chase. So happy he came on.
He was
like so excited for his moment.
And even just like, Jessi was like, he wants to come so bad. Yeah. And he came with a freaking teleprompter of things he wanted to get on camera.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. And I'm just like,
and
bro.
He was down. Oh, and even when he was talking to Dakota and he's like, I was a returned missionary. And I was like, this is so classic. This is exactly what happens. But my favorite part was when...
No.
Who was it that he was talking to? Layla. Yeah. And she's like, your podcast sucks. He's like, don't talk about my podcast. She's like, you're embarrassing. I was dying. I want to find his podcast. I didn't even know he had one.
And then just that black guy in the background, just
from the freaking Bachelorette.
Oh, is he from the Bachelorette?
Yeah, I didn't know that. My friend was like, what is he doing there? He's from the Bachelorette. So many random people at that party.
Side note, Aspen Ovard was at that party. And there's all this lore behind that because she's a huge YouTube star and she's so famous on TikTok now. She's divorced and now she's coming out. She's bisexual or gay. And her first time ever hooking up with a girl was at that party.
Oh, really?
She was on a podcast just recently and she was like, I was at a Halloween party this year and it was the first time. And some girl there took off her wedding ring and they hooked up that night.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know it was at that party.
Yes. And so there's all this stuff. If you love Aspen, this is a huge deal for us. She's on Secret Lives. But then in the comments, it's like, no, if you really know, you know the significance of that party.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, this is classic. Seeing her, I was like, oh my gosh, you're about to hook up with a girl.
Yes.
But what I loved was Miranda, I think, shined in that episode. She's comforting the girlfriend. She's being there for Taylor. You can tell her heart in this moment, where she's really let go of a lot. She's even trying to protect Chase a little bit. Get out of here.
Well, like, she's getting emotional because she's like, we have such a good co-parenting relationship now. And I do feel for her where she's like, I don't want us to get sucked into this world and have it affect our family.
Yes, and you can just tell her sincerity in those moments, even with the lobster claw. And then at one point, she's like, why am I wearing these? She realized, I'm like, yeah, girl, take those bad boys off. She should have gone to the party in them and then immediately taken them off.
And the little cap.
But I can just see people dressing up as that for Halloween. It's just so, and just the point.
Should we dress up as that and then just do a Halloween podcast episode with our claws?
Yeah, like our claws. And then the best was Demi. Okay, Chase. Not even the playback of it did Demi dirty because she was like, he put hands on me. And then the playback was like, Chase didn't even touch her. But I think he hit her hip and was like, where's Brett? And hit her hip. But in the playback, they just got the top half of her. And so it looks like he didn't even touch her.
Yeah, you can see his arm. I think he
bumped her
side and was like, where's Brett? Whatever.
Yes. And then her running upstairs in her Fruity Pebbles costume.
Okay, which is annoying. I'm like, actually get Fruity Pebbles. That was Fruit Loops.
Oh yes, I didn't even realize that. I'm
just like, okay, what do you guys put? He's the milkman and you're technically Fruity Pebbles, but it's Fruit Loops, and maybe you couldn't find Fruity Pebbles, but get a little bit more creative if you're actually gonna do that. But I was dying at that part because I just hate that she went upstairs and she's like, Brett, he put hands on me, and then, brother, you talked to my wife. I'm just like, this is embarrassing.
But that's what I'm saying, girl.
Ryan, yes.
That's what I'm saying. The Blake and Ryan of it all.
So good. It's so good.
Just shirtless, Brett running. What? It just doesn't even get any more context of it and starts running down the stairs. And then Layla's like, where's your shirt? It was just so good. And then him screaming at Chase, go apologize to my wife. And Chase immediately cowers to him. It's like, oh, sorry, man. Sorry. I just barely touched her.
But I liked that he was like that, where he's like, I can touch her. I liked that he handled it the way he did versus he's, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to. I will go apologize to her right now. Demi, what are you talking about? Like, I literally just bumped you. I would much rather him handle it like that versus like, she's crazy. Go check your wife. She's a bitch. You know?
Yeah, I feel like he did good job. But then freaking Jordan comes up and is like, apologize.
In my house, we don't touch women. Yeah,
I'm like, bro, you're giving Jack Russell Terrier tiny dog trying to protect the house.
Like, it's so true. This is so mean. But sometimes when he's looking, he just goes cross-eyed. His spiky hair. The guys are all talking and he just zones out and he's just like,
okay, here's the funny thing. I went to high school with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I don't know, but he's short. Like, he's short.
Yeah, he gives short guy energy.
He had this massive truck. It was giving Napoleon complex.
Oh.
And I remember this vivid memory of him blasting black-eyed peas in the parking lot and doing donuts.
No.
And I'm like, bro, don't be playing my humps. And like,
oh my gosh, this is amazing.
And so it's just like,
we're just putting it all out on the table because we know half of these people.
No, don't hate us, guys. I just feel like we're blacklisted. If anyone ever hears this, they're like, hey, these monsters. And you could tell he was drunk. That's why he's screaming in the face. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, drink some water. It was so.
No, but it's like just giving so immature of Demi to be like, that. He laid hands on me and he's like, what? Hayden was like, Brett gives Kronk vibes from Emperor's New Grove. And I was like, yes. Like, oh, you don't touch my wife.
Totally. But what I'm saying is a girl kind of wants your man to stick up for you.
Like a damsel in distress.
But the thing is that's low-key toxic. A healthy way to handle that situation is, oh my gosh, we'd be like, what happened?
Or,
tell me the story.
On, like, the way home, and then maybe reach out or whatever.
And then him reaching out like, hey, that was disrespectful. There's a healthy way to go about that, where yes, you want your partner to stand up for you.
It's very freaking weird. Very much an overreaction.
And that's what I'm saying. There's something more there that's brewing. I think too, even Demi said this, Brett does have jealousy issues. And so that is coming through a little bit.
Or like she likes that.
Well, clearly. I think Demi could have handled that situation better. Yeah. Well, definitely could have handled that. She should have talked to Brett later. Like, hey, that made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And then Brett could have reached out if he wanted to. But she plays into the toxicity of it.
So what do you think about the whole Chippendales thing? Like,
okay, so this is my next thing.
Zach being mad.
So the next episode, Zach takes Jordan and Brett to golf. I was so cringed out by Zach in this moment where he's like, you physically assaulted my wife without consent. And I'm like, Zach, literally, bro.
They didn't even touch her. It wasn't even like they were grinding up on her. They were just little booty shaking her.
I know. It's such an overreaction.
You gotta
and that's what I'm saying, where Zach's, his true colors come out in those moments where it does give narcissistic tendencies, like Jen said. It's like, that's mine, and that's so disrespectful. But no, it's not.
That was a time for him to prove that he was more relaxed.
And he should have just laughed it off and been fine. And then it would have just squashed everything. Yeah. But the thing is, I get it where he's uncomfortable with those situations. And Jen in that moment, if she knew my husband doesn't like these situations, what I wish would have happened and would have been better is Zach laughing and cheering him on. Yes. And being like, this is hilarious. And then maybe one of two things. Jen could have just stood up. Like, she could have laughed and been like, yes. And then stood up, grabbed another girl's hand, like Demi's, and put her in the chair.
Ooh, I love that.
And then been like, yes. And then go sit with Zach.
And just be good sports.
Yes. Or she could have even grabbed Zach and put him in the chair and been like, yeah, Zach. And then Zach could have felt more included in it. And it would have been funnier.
It's so interesting too, because Jen and Zach did this whole TikTok thing of them at Chippendales.
I know.
And, like, did kind of funny clap back at it. So if you guys have really evolved, it would make sense if they would have handled that situation better. But if it's still bothering and affecting your marriage, why?
Exactly. What I hate so bad is when Zach calls her sweetie. I want to throw up. He's like, oh, sweetie. Because his voice is like condescending. Sweetie. His voice is very high, like Mickey Mouse Club. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Yeah. But I hate when he calls her sweetie. It's the worst. And the whole Ben Affleck of it all, that was that episode too. I'm just like, Ben, come to a 23andMe. Let's get to the bottom of this. Are you related or are you not related? Yeah.
And who cares? Let's just say you're not. Like,
literally no one cares.
It doesn't matter.
And they gave that a little too much screen time.
Yeah. At the beginning, everyone else doesn't have their last name, but Jen Affleck does. And then every press tour she did in the first season, she's like, yeah, he's our second cousin. I'm the original Jenny from the block.
I know.
So Jen saying that she was raised in the hood and stuff, I'm like, okay.
You're from Provo.
You're from Provo, Utah. And she's like, no, but I was raised in the
South.
I will throw hands. I hate
She plays
when people who are poor think it's a flex. It's like, I grew up poor, so that's my whole personality.
Yes. So that's annoying. Also, Dakota in the confessionals looked ill. Every time he was in a confessional, I'm like, bro, is a summer. Yeah. He is not a winter. He needs a spray tan stat. It was in his hair. He got a hair transplant. But
he did?
Yeah. It was after this season, but like his hair is just like thinning. I think this whole Taylor situation, like he told his friend I lost 30 pounds. Like he looks pale. He's physically not doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. Every time he comes on screen, I just laugh. It's just so classic. Just the intro this season, just them rising from Utah Lake.
The baptism was wild.
I didn't even think about it being a baptism.
It is. They're in white, in water, coming up wet.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, side note. Can I just say, here's the thing. I understand. The whole thing started from Mormon swingers, the whole Mormon thing, right?
I loved that we got more of the swinging context. I knew it, and so many people knew the lore, but if you didn't know before, lost over it. This season, I feel like they really addressed it all, and I loved
and
that.
Having Chase on, having Miranda on.
And doing the pie chart of it all.
Yeah. I am glad for that. And at the beginning last season, when they're explaining Mormonism and who's the most Mormon and will Mom Talk survive this, I understood. I was hoping this season would be a little less that and just be a natural reality show. I want to get away from that a little bit. I also want to get away from them talking about religion so much, even though I know it's fascinating to some people. But the whole, and as Mormons, we believe that this, and family is a huge deal. Even in their, like, their interviews and stuff, they're like, and like, it's not the Mormon way.
Yes.
It's very much just a stage where they keep pushing this narrative where the whole lore of this show is it being a younger Real Housewives, and I want it to just be a reality show, and let's get away from, I think they would like that too. Like,
I know, but it's hard because they're kind of married to the name of it.
Yes.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Which
so they're trying to incorporate.
That's fine.
And I guarantee the producers are dropping, okay, how does this relate?
Yeah.
And
they're forcing it.
The interviews, you know?
But I just was hoping for a little bit less of that this season, but
because even without like the interviews, there's definitely hints of it throughout. The opening prayer and the CTR bread and all of the things. Yeah, I feel like they kind of have to try, but I feel like none of them are super in it. That's the thing. Where it's not this true representation of the church.
They're never getting ready for church or talking much about, I know, like,
but the scenes in between are the temple and Moroni and like the LDS
but
church
that's
sign.
Like same with Real Housewives of Salt Lake. It's showing Utah landmarks and stuff, which is fine.
The trips this season were so good, but they handled it better. It wasn't so explosive. There's a lot of content, but it wasn't super.
They got through the truth box.
And how do you feel about Taylor's mom coming to the Christmas party?
Yes. It's so funny because we all have friends who the mom just oversteps.
The classic mom,
like
that
the classic,
just
like, you're being mean to my daughter. And knock, knock.
Totally.
Yes. So why are you here? First of all, this is weird that she dropped off a gift. It's a reality TV show, so she's on there, whatever. That conversation with her and Demi was like shocking to me because Demi was just like, your daughter's a fucking bad friend, literally going off. And there's a little bit of a respect factor. You're talking to somebody's mom.
And Demi's giving a little unhinged in those moments. Immature, be more level-headed.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, she's not the best.
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
Be a little bit more graceful. And she
and
doesn't
respectful
know how
a little
to,
bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agreed with the fact of Demi being like, she's not a very good friend to us. She never reaches out. She doesn't support us.
And all the text messages and all the things. Yeah.
And then, of course, Taylor's mom is so emotional. She's like, she can't right now. So I get it would be hard to be friends with Taylor, and the fact of she's always going through something bigger than you, and she's just so mentally unwell and like, can't support you as a friend and stuff. But I just thought it was so inappropriate. And like, all the girls were apologizing to Taylor's mom. I'm so sorry. Demi is so out of line. And I think that was kind of like the shelf breaking for a lot of people's opinions on Demi.
I know if that wouldn't happened, people would still be on the fence, like men, but she was so unhinged in that moment.
Yeah.
Just explosive.
Yeah.
That they're like, whoa, there's more here to this. And clearly she's wanting to cancel Taylor for other reasons. And we don't feel that same way.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't be screaming at Taylor's mom right now.
And that's what's hard is I feel like a lot of people look at Leanne, they look down on her because it's just like, why are you here? Why are you calling me that I didn't come to Taylor's baby shower? You're so unhinged too, and Taylor's a mess. So I did feel bad for her. She left crying and all of that. And just the Christmas party in general, I'm just like, okay, Demi, this is literally the closing chapter. And then her, that same episode, sitting down talking to Taylor and literally being done with mom talk or whatever, walking out. I'm so curious to see how that ends. I do feel like we did see a lot from Demi this season. I obviously connected to her infertility and the pregnancy roulette. That was super sad.
So sad, yeah.
I'm glad that she opened up about those things, but I really do feel like it just has gotten to her head. And I really do think that she has not handled a lot of situations well and maybe needs to lead with a little bit more grace and empathy for other people.
Yes. And it's clear that the fame and money is affecting all of them differently.
Yeah.
And I think it's showing a lot of their true insecurities and colors.
Yeah. Also, I didn't like when Macy did that dinner to announce that she got a book deal. That Demi was just like
silent and grumpy
and so not supportive. And they're like, yeah, Demi has a hard time being happy for other people. And I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah. And
like, especially Macy's been such a good friend to you. And this is something really cool that the story she shared about her journal with her dad and all of that.
And then Jen comes up and gives her a hug and she's like, oh, was mad at Jen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like Taylor, she maybe doesn't text and check in on these girls or whatever they're saying, but she is so supportive and wants them all to succeed. Take from this opportunity and succeed. And what she had to say about that was so genuine. She was like, I really am so excited for Macy to be able to tell her story and that she has this opportunity. And I know it's been a big goal of hers.
And that's the thing. Taylor's not a very good check in. Let's do this. And I'm going to be there for you. And I'm going to bring brownies and this and that. She's not that type of friend. Yeah. But she is a genuine friend. Loyal and loves you. But it goes back to that post where she's so upset about them not commenting because Taylor went to the CMAs.
I know. What are your thoughts on that part?
She was triggered because she doesn't feel supported and loved.
Yeah.
Even if they all texted her, but she does want the online validation.
Yeah.
It's so sad because it's like she wants the world to know I have friends and I'm loved.
Yeah, that's such an interesting take. And I think it's what Mikayla said. She posts these things without thinking, and she'll get herself in these situations and not know how to get herself out, not know how to really pull back.
Yeah,
you know
she's
what I
like,
mean?
I'm not sorry. I liked how Macy and Mikayla handled that situation because they were both like, no, Taylor, see our side of it.
Yeah.
This is kind of messed up. And then that got Taylor thinking because she's like, but I do think they could have all texted her individually.
Mm-hmm.
And then they saw her story. Mm-hmm. And that's why she knew that they were all online and saw her post.
Yeah.
And hurt her so deeply because I truly feel like she just wants. It's almost like she could have gotten not a lot of comments or likes on that post. But if all of the Mom Talk girls would have commented, it would have meant so much to her because then other people know. You're loved and supported.
She has been support this season. She's showed up to Whitney's baby shower, showed up to all of the things and was like, I'm still gonna support, I'm not gonna hold grudges. Was super happy for Macy. So I think she wanted that in return of I'm not launching a business and I'm not doing all this, but this is a big deal for me. So I get that, but it's one of those things you could have brought up at the next dinner or something and that would have been valid. Hey, it kind of hurt my feelings.
Exactly.
But posting online, not a single one of my friends, blah, 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 and then
reached out to me. And
I'd understand where Demi would be like, okay, that's, and when Macy's like, it's freaking weird. You haven't commented on my post. Why do you care? It's very immature.
Yeah, but I feel like Macy and Mikayla's reaction to it was so normal. Mm-hmm. Like in the sense they were like, we're bugged. We're getting hate online.
Yeah.
This isn't great.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
And having a conversation with her and then them ending good. Demi's is clearly a laundry list of other feelings.
Yeah.
And jealousy and wanting to be the leader.
And I think that was the first opportunity where it's like, oh, Taylor's pissing us off. Let's jump on this and raise hell.
Yeah. And like, grab your pitchforks, everyone. Let's go.
We ride at dawn. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no. We just like wanted to have a conversation with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they both were like, you could have just come to us.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh. And then I think she started seeing that. And that's why she texted them all, hey, I'm sorry. But that's a healthy response. To me, is I'm like, girl.
Yeah. I hope that this starts a trend where I kind of want them to make another show on just influencers, a reality show of a lot of our favorite comfort influencers or younger people in the reality space that like, we can connect to. These young moms or people in the same stage of life as us.
It is gold because they have all the Real Housewives, but they're all older. So we all watched it. But even the Kardashians was older.
Yeah. So this younger demographic, they don't have these young reality TV shows. And obviously it's so much more relatable to us because we're from Utah. We run in these same circles. Our dynamics are the same. But I'm curious, is there any other influencers, Utah or Arizona or wherever, specific influencers that you'd want to see on the show? If they were like, okay, we're going to switch it up or add people or take people away, like, is there anyone that you would want to?
I am loving this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this cast is really good. The only person that I'm curious about is Taylor, Miranda, and then Camille. There's a girl named Camille who was the original 3 of Mom Talk.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious why Camille, she got offered. And I'm sure she got offered season 2
She's been open about it.
Oh, what'd she say?
She like wants to protect her family and that it's not for her.
And I feel like that's the smartest move of it all because I'm losing out money, opportunity, clout, all this stuff. But in the end, I think it really is going to save her.
I'm protecting my peace.
I know, but it's hard because I'm sure she looks at it, and especially Miranda's introduction into it. Mm-hmm. I wonder maybe next season Camille will be down because she'll be like, oh, well, Miranda's. It's just hard because that was the same thing with Miranda, which she was like, I don't want to do it. But then she saw how things played out and then was like, oh, I want that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Camille regrets her decision or if she stands behind it.
So I was so curious about that first season where the girls got so much hate for it when the trailer came out. And then I'm sure that Miranda and Camille were like, I'm so glad I'm not doing it. And then once it got that huge success and people were actually loving it, I'm sure it was like, wait, I'm sure it's a constant battle. Camille, especially when it's release day and they're doing all this press and they're on all these podcasts and they're on the Today Show and they're doing all these really fun
and
things.
all the money and all the brand deals.
Yeah. Obviously Camille's very well off. Like her husband's a Monday. I don't think it's a money thing, but I think it's probably, do you want to see it at the table?
Exactly.
It's like giving. It's so funny because I remember growing up wanting so badly. I did Little Miss London pageant and watching the Orem royalty and the Summerfest parade. It's very much giving that where you're like, oh my gosh, those girls, they have it all, you know?
Yes, exactly.
And I feel like it probably comes in waves where she's like, oh my gosh, if it's cringy, if it's embarrassing, if there's drama, I'm so glad I didn't do that. And then there's probably times where she's like, that could be me. I could be at all of those. It would be such a hard thing.
And I think her and Miranda are still really good friends because they've been making TikToks throughout this whole thing. Anyone would feel left out and just FOMO.
Yeah. I would love them to do either I would love for Indie Blue to go on, or you know what I mean? Like like other public figures that they could have. Get a Layla out of there and get someone that we're all so curious about. You know?
Oh, it would be so. Indie was offered a show like back in the day, and it just never really came out. I guess it was after high school. It was supposed to be the whole show, or like the Aspen Ovard. I feel like she would be so good,
like Emily Kaiser. Like,
but I don't know how they would fit into that dynamic. I kind of want them to be their own.
That's the thing, is I want them to make a TikTok influencer and do the Ken Kradick and the Avery Woods, all of those girls and the big creators.
Okay, but let's wrap up the mom talk. So the season finale, wild, because Layla sits down with Marciano, who is on Vanderpump Villa with Demi. And there's all these allegations that Demi and Marciano had something. They were flirty. He kissed her on the cheek. Something happened. ...
Yeah.
And even now there's all this drama around Demi and Marciano. They're fighting in the comments. And she's basically saying he sexually harassed her. But now knowing that Chase didn't even really touch her and her be like, he put hands on me, I feel like she felt uncomfortable by some of the stuff that he was doing. He admits, I caught feelings for Demi, but it really didn't go any further than that. But I did have something with ... Jessi. Because there's rumors that Jessi and Marciano were hooking up at SUR and making out. And it was one of the confessions. And Jessi was like, no, that's not true. I would never do that. Then he confirms we were hanging out. And
we did kiss and we did more than that.
And then Layla was like, what? Did you F her? And he was like, yeah, we had sex.
That's crazy.
And then it's
a preview of Jessi denying it, which is crazy, because why would he openly say that he did and then they actually didn't? And there was rumors that they were spotted.
And I'm in a picture together in the car.
Yeah,
like and it's like they're, and Layla's like, so you're having a full blown affair. And it's crazy how it's all playing out now, because clearly Demi and Jessi are at each other's throats.
Yeah, and everyone's been at Demi for this whole
Marciano and everyone was saying Demi was hooking up with Marciano.
And he got uninvited to the Hulu event because of Demi. But if this is low-key going on with Jessi this whole time,
I'm just so curious.
I could see her.
I think if I'm just right now, my opinion, I think Jessi was hooking up with Marciano.
Well, because I saw this video of someone interviewing the girls at that Hulu event that the Kardashians were at. And they were like, which one of you guys is single and would be down to hook up with Scott? And she raises her hand and is like, me. And then she's like, I'm just kidding. And there's been rumors that her and her husband might have an open relationship. Things that I haven't talked about, or if there was infidelity, but it's same thing. There's smoke a brewing and there's a fire somewhere, but we don't know.
Yeah, and
in the preview she denies it, and she's like, I don't know why he would say that.
And
like,
Jordan's at all the premieres, and they've
gonna come out.
But then they've confirmed someone's getting a divorce in the middle of a divorce.
Yes,
and all the girls have confirmed that. They haven't said who, but all of them have said.
Which is kind of crazy, because then they were all at Stagecoach together. Jordan went with her. And then Dakota went with Taylor. So maybe it was just for filming. And maybe they've come to good terms with it. Maybe they did have an open relationship. Maybe they're just having a good co-parenting relationship. We don't know.
I know. So I'm so curious. But I do think that something happened. But also she had a previous swinging scandal with her ex.
Yeah.
So something.
And like, why has that not been talked about on the show?
I know.
Like,
she needs to like delve more into that. She was literally swinging with her ex-husband.
Yeah.
Did that contribute to their divorce?
All I know is they're still filming, and I'm so excited. They'll release another 10 episodes or something?
Yes. So do you feel like it's still season 2, but another 10 episodes? Or do you think it'll be season 3?
There was 20 episodes?
On IMDb, it says 20 episodes.
Because that's kind of what they've been doing with the Kardashians, where they do these seasons, but it's not like once a year like a normal show. It was like fall, and then it was spring, and then they'll probably release another one in September, I'm sure. The next 10 episodes or whatever.
Exactly.
So we'll see. But I want to know, before we wrap up, I think as Utah girls, we all put ourselves in the situation of, would you go on the show? Let's say you start creating content or whatever, and then eventually a year from now, somehow you get offered to be on the show. Do you feel like that's something you would be?
I would want to be Camille and be like, this is not, I know it's not going to work. It's not going to end well for any of these girls, in the sense of it's going to affect all of them in different ways, and it's going to affect your family in different ways. But then I feel like I'd be a Miranda, where I'm like, oh, well, I'll be different and this and that, and like my life's different, and then all the opportunities and this and that and da 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 da. But I don't know. So I feel like I should say no, but I feel like I would end up being a Miranda and like want to go on and see, and then it would ruin my life. Like I can just see it so clearly.
What do you feel like it would do? How would it ruin your life?
I just feel like the drama, and for me, I don't do well with negative comments or people scrutinizing
just like your
me.
mental health. You'd get sucked into it and would like chew you up and spit you out.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It would ruin my mental health.
Yeah.
I'd be Jen on steroids.
Yeah.
And just fumbling, and then any drama, it would just give me severe anxiety. That's what it would just affect everything.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I don't know. Part of me, what a fun ride that they're on. Such a fun ride. You guys became mega famous overnight.
It's humongous.
I love how Macy, like I said, is approaching it with business ventures and really helping elevate her family. Obviously, it can do so much for your family. You can be home with your kids, both of you, and pay for it. Ideally, if you're filming a reality show, it's a great job, you know? But I picture myself, even in those scenes, I couldn't sit at this table and be like, what is up with her? Authentically, I just don't feel like I could feed into fake drama and be happy.
That's what I'm saying. It would just be the worst girls' dinner you've ever had, but your life is that.
And I've gotten into fights with friends, but I've never really had someone come at me and question my character or really real into me like that.
And I feel like all these girls are suffering with some form of that.
Or just and like then Jen's fake or like whatever. And it's like, wow, I thought you guys were my friends. This is really sad and hard. And so I feel like, yes, I would want to protect my peace. I don't really think I could ever see myself doing it. But if the opportunity presented itself, I would hope that these girls are just going into it having the time of their lives. When they're 60-year-old women and they're like, when I was 25, I was on the show because of the swinging scandal and it changed my whole life. And it was so fun. I would hope you could just go in and be like, it's not that deep. But that's probably not very realistic.
Yeah. In the end, they're going to get fame, they're going to get money, they're going to get everything, and they're going to realize that's not fixing the void in any of their lives.
But it becomes addictive.
It becomes addictive, and it's like, I want more, I want more, and I need more clout. And if you're on a high and you're on a low, you're going to try to climb back up to that high. Just how Demi's going to do right now. She had an amazing season 1, bad season 2. I need to climb back to that status. It's like it's a sick cycle. And so I think it truly brings out your deepest insecurities and worries, and none of that is going to fix anything. So that's what sucks at the end of it.
Off. Such a fun ride, but also can seep poison into your home and your life and your peace.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys for recap. I literally could do a part 2 right now.
I could talk for 3 more hours. I know it's consuming me. It's in my veins.
I know. Okay, thanks guys for recapping all of this with us. Reach out, give us your comments,
send us
whatever.
all your thoughts on
and
everything.
Make sure to follow us. Just literally take 2 seconds, rate, give us 5 stars, and for extra points, if you could leave a review. We're just trying to get the word out there more, and it would just mean so much to us.
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.